It's also important, once you look your part, to be able to speak well and know what you're talking about, and that segues into education. What are your views on that?
My views are very, very strong on education. I think that a person should go and get an education. In this country, there is no reason for a person not to be educated. Even if you have a job, go in the evening, go at night. You know, if you're working night, go in the day. Take a class at a time. I have encouraged so many people. I had a young lady that was working for me. She was a secretary. She was in her 40s. I kept encouraging her to go to school. She said, well, I haven't been. I don't know. I told her where to go to IU. Long story short, she got her BS degree when she was 50 years old. Today, she is making almost twice as much as she was making prior to her getting a degree.
That's so important for people to remember, because many people believe that education isn't as important as it used to be. But it's the gateway, isn't it?
It's the gateway. It's very, very important. And being in healthcare, one of the things I've always pointed out to a person is that, okay, if you are a nurse's assistant and then you decide to become an LPN or an RN, the difference, I point out the difference in the salaries. You know? It's a big, big difference.
You are a father yourself of 2 women.
That's
so
correct.
You didn't have a chance to father a young man. So how is it fathering women, and what from your dad's goals and rules did you then give to your daughters?
One of the things that tried to instill in them was that, 1, get an education. 2, is that you can be independent and successful. You do not have to be dependent upon someone. The youngest daughter was a school teacher in Nashville, Tennessee, but she just finished her master's and she's going to set up a clinical therapy business. The oldest daughter is a doctor of pharmacy. She's in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and she's doing extremely well. And one is in healthcare and one is in education.
When you spoke into them, did you use words or did you use actions?
I did 3 things. I used the words, I used the actions, and then I would often take them to various meetings, because I've served on a lot of boards, and I would take them to meetings and just have them to sit in the back to observe and to see, you know, 1, what I was doing, and also to get an understanding of what the world is like, and would often tell them about corporate America and what's that like.
What kind of feedback have they given you about your time with them and what you've instilled into them?
Very good question, and interesting you would say that. Just Tuesday of this week, my daughter in Florida just sent me a text and said, Daddy, I don't know if I've ever really told you, but I want to thank you for all the tips that you've given me growing up and how it has helped me. And I get cards from them, especially on Father's Day and my birthday, and they always write notes on them, and the cards, they're very touching.
Oh, that's wonderful. The nice thing about this book is that you now are giving your tips and your father's tips to other people. When I read, I am kinesthetic, so I mark up books all the time. And this particular page 47, deals with character. I'd like to read a couple of the sentences that you wrote and then have you comment further, okay?
Thank you. Okay.
All right. It says, every thought that enters our mind, every word we utter, every deed we perform makes its impression upon the innermost fiber of our being, and the result of these impressions is our character. It has been anonymously written, fame is a vapor, popularity is an accident, and money takes winds. The only thing that endures is character. You draw nothing out of the bank of life except what you deposit into it. The height of a person's potential is in proportion to their surrender to what is right.
You know, what we do for ourselves dies with us. What we do for others lives immortal. And I do a lot of volunteer. I do a lot of mentoring. I have seen young men especially on a weekly basis for up to 1 year. I normally will say, I'm going to spend this time with you up to 1 year. I also set up a monitoring program when I do that. These are the expectations. As a matter of fact, I just met with a young man yesterday who is moving to Tacoma, Washington. And I was asking him, he does not have a job, he does have an MBA, but I was asking him, what is he going to do? He's moving out there with his girlfriend. And he is going to stay in touch with me monthly to let me know as to how he's going to go about getting a job and use my help on a volunteer basis in whatever way that he possibly can.
You are a very busy man, and I know other very busy men who are now pouring their lives into younger people in mentoring. What a valuable thing that you've been doing. How long have you been mentoring, and how many people right now are you mentoring?
One, I've been mentoring for years. When I was at Parkview, I kind of started it then, although I've been in Fort Wayne for about 40 years, and I've been teaching a Sunday school class since I have been in Fort Wayne. And as part of that, a lot of the young people, and I've always wanted to teach teenagers, so I started mentoring probably 40 years ago with them. And I enjoy it. I think I've had a lot of young men especially come back to me and share it with me how it has helped them in so many different ways.
You are doing what your father, one of your father's rules, which is give back to others, which is a chapter in your book. How did your dad give back to others?
My dad gave back by, one, volunteering in the church. He was very involved in volunteering in the church. And he also, little small committees around town, he would do that. And a lot of the older people that didn't drive, he would take them to the doctor's appointments. He would take them grocery shopping or whatever. And I learned a lot of that from him.
And this is a man with 11 children and a wife that he loved dearly, and he still had the time, and who worked many hours, right? Very hardworking man.
Right. Dad worked at the lumber plant, but I remember when it burned down, and I talk about that in my book, and for 2 years, he took a job in Laura, Mississippi, and he went over there, in which he would go drive on a Sunday night to Laura, Mississippi, and come back home on a Friday night. For 2 years he did that until the plant was rebuilt.
Just so your family could have the money for education?
Right.
And didn't he build the homestead that you lived on?
Yes, the home that we lived on and we still have today, although my parents are dead, he built that.
And it's the picture on your book.
It's the picture on the front page of the book.
And tell us about that homestead and how you still visit it.
I still go back home at least once a year now. A lot of my brothers and sisters go back a lot more than what I do. But I do go back once a year. We have a family reunion every year in August, and we all get together, all 11 of the children. And it's great. You know, I spend a week or 2 weeks there, and we just kind of reminisce on growing up, what it was like, what we're all doing, because we're scattered all over the country. You know, only 2 sisters live about 30 miles away. We have someone that looks after the farm. And
you even have cattle on the farm?
We have 25 cows. That's correct.
Yes. So you still have connections.
Very strong connections.
That's
yes.
Great. John, one of the things you do also, because of this book and because of your convictions, is that you speak to other people. Tell us some of the places where you've spoken and what you've told people.
I've been to my daughter's church in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and with my book, they wanted me to come and talk about it, and I basically talked about the various chapters. I've been to Nashville, Tennessee twice. I graduated from Tennessee State University, so I have been to the college campus there and spoke to some students. And the second time, a restaurant wanted to have a book signing there, so I went for that. And I have spoken at St. Francis to an accounting class. Last summer, I spoke at IPFW to a group of students there about my book. I had a book shown at the Oyster Bar here in Fort Wayne. I spoke actually at the Pontiac Branch Library to a group of people, my book. So several places, in several churches here in Fort Wayne, I have been to and spoke.
What do you want people to get from this book, and why did you write it?
I wrote it, again, those 10 principles, values, rules, or whatever you want to call them. I think if you follow them, you're going to be a different person. I really do. I think I am who I am because of that. I live that every day. So I wrote it so that hopefully someone will benefit from it. I've had some young ladies that have read it. In the chapter, Be a Man, I had one young lady come back and tell me it has really helped her in identifying how to date or who to look for in a date. I thought that was kind of, I felt good about it.
That's good, because many women do not have the father who says a man needs, when they pick you up from a date or for a date, they need to help you on with your coats. We did that with our girls when the man came and said, offer the coat to the boy.
Right.
To the young man, and then he is to put it on. But many women don't know that because they haven't had somebody there to model it.
That is so true. And the one, as I stated earlier, about taking your hat or cap off if you enter a building, not to sit in a theater or whatever with a cap on. Another one is that if you are going to a function, a play or something, at least you don't wear sagging jeans, you at least dress up.
You wrote a book. I would like your opinion of the importance of reading.
Well, I think reading is very, very important. I read several newspapers a day. I read several magazines, business magazines. It's another world. It also helps to be able to communicate with people. As the world becomes more diverse, you need to be able to communicate, and you can find out a lot of things just by reading, and the ability to be able to communicate with someone through reading.
And so the words you use come from reading, and you also are a stickler on enunciation, aren't you?
Enunciation and pronunciation. I grew up in the Deep South, and I had a coach at one time when I went to International Harvest who helped me a lot with that, because I didn't speak as well as I thought I should speak.
What drives you, John Dortch?
A lot of people say I'm a type A person, whatever type A is, But I think that a lot of it is from my father, things that he instilled in me. And I plan on just going and going and going, never giving up. As a matter of fact, I just started writing another book, Life in Corporate America, The Rules of the Game. And the reason for the title and the reason for the book, again, going back to my human resource experience, seeing so many people and so many young people that graduate from high school or college think that they should have the corner office on the top floor. They want to take the elevator to the top. You have to take the stairs. You got to know what it's like to fall down and get up, dust yourself off, and go at it again.
How can people obtain your book?
The book is available at Community Care Pharmacy. It's also available at Amazon.com. I do have a website, www.johndortchbooks.com. You can get it through PayPal there. I had it at Mitchell Bookstores, but they did close. Borders closed, and I also did a book signing at Borders, but they are closed.
Thank you. This half hour went fast. I learned a lot, and I know other people did too. Good luck with you, and thank you for making a difference in the lives of others.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us tonight, and have a good evening.